Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Workforce Wednesday. Our topic today is Marketing Made Easy with Digital Literacy using Canva in your AEL program, classroom, and beyond. Our presenter today is Cheryl Smith. She's a career navigator with Howard College, Concho Valley. And my name is Olga Escamilla, and I am your host and moderator. So at this time, let's welcome our presenter. Our presenter today is Cheryl Smith, and she is an Adult Education and Literacy Assistant Director, Career Navigator, and PD Coordinator. She wears many, many hats. She's a Certified Manager of Program Improvement. She enrolled to practice in front of the IRS and is now the IET Basic Tax Trainer for H&R Block and Howard College. She's a member of the Family Self-Sufficiency Housing Authority Board for San Angelo, Texas. So welcome, Cheryl. And right now, does anybody have any questions? If you don't have any questions, then I am going to transfer the presenter rights to Cheryl, and she's going to begin. Welcome, Cheryl, and thank you for being with us.
All right, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day today. We are going to be talking about Marketing Made Easy with Canva, and I'm going to talk to you about a few other things as we go along that will actually help talk about why Canva is so important and why it's so great. So what is Canva? Canva is a design program that helps create flyers and multimedia posts that not only look professional, but they save time in the making. Canva can also help you design posters and other things as well, but specifically we're using it for flyers and multimedia posts for like Facebook. So we're going to have some Canva talking points today. You don't get to understand how great Canva really is unless we talk about why Canva is so great. And one of the things that's really great about Canva is that it helps us stay within copyright and FERPA laws. So we're going to talk a little bit about copyright and FERPA, and then I'm going to give you a walkthrough of getting a Canva account, and then I will actually dive a little bit deeper into the Canva so that I can show you how to use it a little bit. I do want to emphasize at this time that when you do get onto Canva later on, you want to use Chrome or Firefox. Internet Explorer will not bring Canva up and it won't work properly on that. So you do need to use Chrome or Firefox later when you get on there. So I will give you a really good demonstration of Canva. And one thing I want you to keep in mind as we're going through this presentation today is just because you found it on Google doesn't necessarily mean you are legally allowed to use it. And this is actually really interesting, and one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this program today is that recently our college received a letter from an entity saying that we used a picture that belonged to them on our Facebook page. Or our Howard College website. I don't remember which one it was. And they were asking Howard College to pay them several $1,000s for the use of their picture. Thankfully, as it turned out, it was not ours. And it was not our Howard College website or our Facebook and another Howard College that's out there. And so thankfully, we didn't get in trouble for that, and it wasn't anything we had to pay. But it brought to light that there are copyright laws out there on pictures, and we all use a lot of media. And so we all got together and decided, this is a good time to talk about this subject and make it known that, you can't just Google pictures and put them on flyers or Google pictures and put them on Facebook because you could get in trouble for that. So I want to talk about some of these things as we go along. So do you know what Creative Commons is? You can answer in your chat pod, what do you think Creative Commons is? And some of you probably know what Creative Commons is. Has anybody heard of Creative Commons before?
Vicki says yes. Ashley says a great source for free and open resources. Thank you, Ashley. And then Okencia says, no, I haven't. Sandra says, no, I haven't. Thank y'all for responding. Bree says yes. Thank you, Bree.
All right.
Okay, let's move on.
So Creative Commons, it's actually a nonprofit American organization, and it's devoted to expanding the range of creative works available for others that they can build upon legally and or share. The organization has released several different copyright licenses. In fact, I believe there's about 7 of them, and they are known as Creative Commons licenses, and they are free of charge to the public. Wikipedia is one of the main places that you can see some of these. But it allows you to use that work or that picture without getting in trouble for it later because you are actually allowed to use it. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And I'm going to actually show you Creative Commons as well. Do you know where to find copyright-free or public domain images? What are some sites that you use? I know some of you said that you knew of it. What are some sites that you use for copyright-free or public domain images?
Okay, we have a couple of responses. Ashley says Unsplash and PNG Tree. Those are new. Vicky Sexton says Sparks, Adobe for free photos. And then Doris says, I've used Adobe Spark and there are royalty-free photos. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Those are actually a couple I didn't know about, so that's really good. So I'm going to take you through a couple of copyright-free public domain, mainly Pixabay and Creative Commons, just so you can see how they work and what they look like. And I want to show you what that copyright looks like. So I'm going to show you some images that are in the state of belonging to the public as a whole and therefore not subject to a copyright. And then if you see down here, I actually listed a lot of the places that we tend to look for pictures. In fact, pexels.com is one that I added yesterday, although I want you to note that on this one, not all the pictures are free, and some of them have a charge, and so you can choose to pay for the fee and actually use that picture. So, but here are some other places that you can go and find Creative Commons pictures. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to show you a little bit about some of these. Okay, so here is Creative Commons. And I believe there is a screen on one of the PowerPoints where I've actually given you the link to Creative Commons so that you can actually find it later if you're given access to this PowerPoint. But this is Creative Commons. And so you can go in here and you can search for different pictures. And you have all of these things, but I usually like to go into the website. And typically, when I'm making a flyer, we have a lot of health science classes around here. So typically, I'm looking for something that is medical related. Sometimes I'm looking for a TSI prep course, and so I'm looking for something cool and innovative to put on a flyer, you know, to catch students' attention. You know, I'm always trying to make these flyers different so that it catches the attention of students as they're walking by. And students are used to seeing flyers, so you want your flyers to constantly be different and innovative. So down here in the search bar, I am going to type in nursing or nurses and hit the enter button. And it decided to act goofy.
The other?
Maybe so, because I didn't have, oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Usually this is what automatically pops up. One of the things that I really like about Creative Commons is that you can search different types of media here. And as you can see here, Pixabay is actually one of them. And I already have Pixabay up so that I can show it to you. But here's Pixabay. Here is Google. Here's YouTube, because, you know, sometimes people share videos, YouTube videos, a lot. Not all of those YouTube videos are actually allowed to be shared. So you want to go through the Creative Commons to make sure that you're not sharing something you shouldn't. And here's Google Images, Wikimedia Commons, all kinds of different places that you can go to. You can go into clip art here to actually get clip art, and they actually have tons of clip art. And I will click on that, and we'll put in stethoscope here. And here we have tons of different stethoscopes that we could use potentially in that flyer if we wanted to. Here's Google Images and Wikimedia Commons. I'm going to use Wikimedia Commons for this search. And again, I already have stethoscopes in there, so they came up like that. I'm going to type nurse in again and see if I can get a nurse this time. So these aren't pictures that I necessarily would want to use, so I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go back over to Creative Commons, and I'm going to use Google Images. And there is my stethoscopes again, because that's what I had in there. But I'm going to backspace and change it to nurse and put nurse in there, because our TSI class, for instance, our TSI prep class is for nurses. So I might want to put a picture of a nurse on that flyer. So I'm going to click on this one right here just because I want to show it to you. When you click on this picture down here, it's going to tell you images may be subject to copyright. And if you click on Learn More, it's actually going to bring up the copyright laws for you. But if you look over here on the right-hand side of the page, this actually tells you that this is it gives you the name of the picture, and it tells you right here that it's a free photo on Pixabay. So you know that this is a picture that you're allowed to use without any copyright. And you can do that with many of these. If you look at this one is a public domain picture. So if it says public domain, you can actually use that. And if you click on that, many times, if you go down here to the bottom, so we clicked on the picture to bring it up because I want to view the actual license and make sure that it is a Creative Commons picture. And it is, and I know that because here it is down here. Here's the CCO public domain. And so I know that this is a picture I can put on my flyers or put on Facebook, and then I know that I don't need to worry about that particular shot because it is public domain. And, all right, so I'm going to go into Pixabay, and I'm going to show you the same thing. So here's Pixabay. Looks a little different. Tons of cool pictures on here, okay? You can go up here to the top and search images, and so since we're using nurse, I'm just going to use that again. And I'm going to type in nurse and search, and here they go. They all come up. And so we can look through some of these and view their Creative Commons license. So let's just click on this one right here. Okay, this one tells us it has a Pixabay license, and it also says editorial use only. So let's click on that. What is not, this right here tells you exactly what is allowed and what's not allowed. So this is a human readable summary of the Pixabay license, and then it tells you right here what you're not allowed to do with this picture. So on this particular picture, you cannot redistribute the image as a photo or wallpaper platform. Identifiable people may not appear in a bad light or a way that it is offensive. So it tells you exactly what you can and cannot do with this particular picture. So you can view that and you can see that it is Pixabay, that the license comes through. And Pixabay is one of the ones that Creative Commons typically is on there. Let's look at this one. This one's also Pixabay. And it says right here, free for commercial use, no attribution required. So you know that you can use this one and you don't have to worry about any type of breach in using somebody's copyrighted picture. All right, so.
Sure. We have a question from Tiffany Lee. She says, in order to use the pictures, do you have to give credit to the picture in the flyer?
Like this one says no attribution required. So on this one, no, you can use this one and you don't even have to tell anybody where you got it from. There are some that are different. If they do require that you give them credit for it, it will actually stay on there in this area right here. Just like that one said that you couldn't use the picture in a bad light and you couldn't use it as a wallpaper. There are if there's restrictions with a particular picture, they will actually come up and you will see that right here in this area. So on this particular one, it says no attribution required, so you can use this picture without giving any kind of credit to it. One thing that I would like to say, and I'm going to stop sharing that screen for a minute. Yes, and then you would, and usually there's a little link too that it's kind of, I call it a cheater link, but a lot of times it will put the credit on there and it gives you the information from where to find how to give the credit to the picture and everything, and those are really nice. So I like to use those if I have to give credit to a picture. But again, these are some of the different places that we can use. As I showed you on that Creative Commons website, there were multiple places that you can get pictures, and you can just use that one area to do that. And so here's the place I actually gave you the link for the Creative Commons. All right, and I gave you the link for Pixabay too. So can we use a photo that we find on Pixabay? Yes, it is okay. And do we attribute the author? Well, if it says we have to attribute the author, then yes, we do. But if it says that it's free use for the public and you can use it however you want, then you do not have to attribute the author. But you do have to look at the picture individually to make that decision. Okay. You want to watch out for third-party links on a lot of these sites. It's really easy to accidentally get into one where you actually have to pay for it. And sometimes you don't even realize that you left the main site. So watch out for third-party links on some of these websites because it can get you really mixed up really quick. I think I showed you Pixabay, and instead of doing Santa, we used the nurse. Does anybody feel like I need to go back and show them that again, or do you feel like you understand it? Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is FERPA laws as well. So in order not to use pictures off of Google, we've started using our own pictures whenever possible. It serves a couple of purposes. One, our students know our other students, and so if they see a picture of a fellow student on a flyer, a lot of times they may stop and look at that flyer a little bit closer because they may recognize that person on the flyer. Two, our students love seeing themselves up on the flyers. They love seeing themselves on Facebook. They're very proud of the accomplishments that they're making, and they're really happy to be in our program. And so we would much rather put real pictures up of our program in process when we're putting things on Facebook and and trying to advertise our courses and things like that. So I like to say use your own pictures whenever possible, but you do have to be aware of FERPA. And FERPA means, for pictures particularly, that you have to make sure that your students have given their permission to use their pictures. So one of the things that we did at our college is on the registration form on the back where all the signatures are, and I didn't take a picture of the whole entire registration form, but we have this photo and video release here. And it says, I hereby give my consent to have my picture or my video released by Howard College and the Adult Education Program for the sole purpose of advertising the adult educational programs offered by said institution. Participants who are 16 to 18 years of age must have written permission to participate, and they either have to mark that they authorize consent or do not authorize consent, and then they have to sign it and date it, and then if they're between 16 and 18, their parent has to sign it and date it as well. We have only had, I think, 2 students ever who have actually said do not authorize, and I do know who those students are, and I'm pretty much the only person that goes in and takes pictures in the classroom. We have had a news channel come in and do an advertisement for us, and we went into the room prior to, and if any of the students that had not given us permission, we would have had to take them out of any of the shots. So I know who those 2 students are, and we make sure that they never get in any of the pictures. So that's one thing you have to be aware of when you're taking pictures in the classroom. Also, too, you don't want to just barge into the classroom. I always make sure that I have permission from the teacher and the students prior to walking into the classroom and taking pictures. So I always give a day to 2 days in advance to let the teacher know and ask if it's okay, and then she lets her students know and make sure it's okay with them. That way they give me a time, they're kind of expecting a short interruption so that I'm not just barging into their class in the middle of class. So you want to be respectful too. So you are able to use public event pictures as long as an individual student is not highlighted, and I've actually got an example of that, but you can actually click on this here and it tells you the FERPA rule for photos and videos, and so I included that if you would like to look at it. But if you are at an event that is a public event, for us that would be graduation. If I take a picture of the entire graduating class, sort of how this crowd at this game is being taken, and it's not focused on any one individual, then I don't have to have permission from anybody to post this picture. I can actually post this picture because it is a public event that is not specifically focused on any one person's face. But say I take a particular picture of, let's say, for instance, the students marching out of the door, and I focus it more on one student, and I can see one student mainly in the frame as the students are coming out and walking up to the stage for graduation. Well, as I get those individual shots that are more focused on each student, then those I have to have permission from that student in order to post those. Like I said, we get permission from every single one of our students as they're coming into our program. And so far, we have not had any issues with anybody really not wanting to be in any of the photos. In fact, most people actually want to be in the photos, and they want to make sure that I'm actually posting them on Facebook so that they can pull those pictures. So it's kind of a fun thing. All right, so what Canva can do for you, Canva can save time, save money, and help you create a very professional look. And it can also protect you from some of those copyright rules because there's some pictures embedded in the Canva. So I'm going to go over here to share, and I'm going to do a demonstration of Canva for you. So when you first bring up Canva, it looks like this. And you can use Facebook to sign up to get an account. You can use Google, although they are changing Google, so I wouldn't recommend using that right now to get into it because you never know what's going to happen. But simply, you can use your name and just sign up with your email, which is actually what I did. I just signed up with our email, and on this little drop-down screen, I put that we were a nonprofit or a charity. You could put that you're a student or a teacher. This site is free. Of course, you can pay and get more tools inside the site, which I am so hooked at this point. I probably will end up doing at some point. But the site is free and you can use it, and it's really awesome. So I already have an account, so I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to log in to our account. And I have this thing in the way. Okay. And you can see we have a generic email address that we use, so I'm using that one. And so when I go into Canva, now ours has all this stuff down here. When you first sign up, you just mainly have this line here, right here. And this tells you what this does for you is it creates the accurate size for the type of media that you're using at any given time. If you're going to go post an advertisement on Instagram, you don't want to post something this size into a picture of this size on Instagram and just put your flyer in there. Does anybody know what happens? When you do that, it will try to fit this size into that little bitty box, and what ends up happening is they cut off the top part and then the bottom part, and typically all you see is what's in the middle part of your flyer. That doesn't look very professional and not very smart because it cuts off half your information that's important. So you want to create specific media for the specific type of media that you're going to use it for. So if you're going to put flyers up around campus, you want to use a flyer. If you're going to make a poster and take it to a company to print out, you want to make sure it's the right size so you can use the poster. They even have the Facebook cover. This is generic social media over here. And of course, this is the flyer, which as you can see down here is the one that we use the most. So I'm going to show you a couple of things when you go into that. And I'm going to use this one right here because this is one that we've just kind of played around with. And I'm going to show you that. And then at the end, I'm going to show you how you get rid of it if it's one you don't want to keep. So I'm going to click into this for now. And so it brings this up. So when you come up, there's templates. And notice that it says free right here at the corner. But notice that this one doesn't. So if I use this one would charge me money to use it. And if I use this background would be free. And I can just click on it, and it will let me use it. And I know I can change anything on here that I want to change. So if I decide that I like this particular background, well, then I can use this and change the different things that are on there. One thing I want to show you while we're on here, too, is how to change the colors of things. So say I really hate green, but I really like this poster. I can come up here and click on the green, and I can change the green, let's say, to this blue color. When I click on it, everything that's green should switch to that blue color, which I think that's the only thing except for the background. If you want to change the background, you have to do it different. But say I want to take the bunny and make the bunny pink, I can make it pink. So that's how you can change the different colors. These are the only colors that you have on the palette. If you want additional colors, you do have to pay for them. So that's the only downside to Canva, is that once you get hooked on it, you really want more stuff. But anyway, there is a lot that you can do with just the different things that it gives you. Even here, if I want to change the color of the flag, I can do that just like that. So it really gives you a lot of freedom to change anything about the poster that you would like to do. One thing I will say about some of the templates is that you can go through them, and if there's one that costs a lot of money, sometimes you can recreate that on your own. And so that's really nice. So here are backgrounds. So say I decide I really hate this green background, I can change it to, let's say, that color. So again, here you can see which backgrounds are free. If it says free on them, there are free backgrounds. On this particular area, most of the ones that are not free are actually all the way at the bottom. And of course, if you have taste like me, you're always going to want several of them that cost money. But as you can see down here, all of these cost money. They don't say that they're free on them. And they are different prices. Sometimes they're only $1. Sometimes they're $30. It just depends. Typically, if there's any kind of pictures on them, Canva does charge you to use the picture. So if we did use a picture of somebody on this, that is something that Canva would charge for if we were using their pictures, and then that way we're allowed to use their pictures. But you know then that you're doing it the right way. So that's one thing that is really cool about Canva as well. There are different elements. If I'm going to take this and go home right quick, and I'm going to show you, I want you to take a look at this flyer right quick. This is a flyer. I actually got the idea from one of the templates on here, and it was going to charge me $30. To use it. Well, I recreated this entire flyer based on the one that I saw in the template, and these are actually pictures of our students. And then these are little speaker bubbles. So I'm going to go back over and I'm going to pick up this picture so that I can play with it, and I'm going to show you how I did that. So when you go into Elements, if you want to have a picture box, again, you can see these don't have free on them, but this one does. So you can go through here, and there's all kinds of different things that you can use. If it says free, it's free, and then obviously it doesn't say it's not free. But this one right here will put a picture, and you can change it to any size that you want. And actually, I'm going to get rid of this right quick. So I'm going to delete this whole box. So if you want to delete something, I just clicked on that whole entire area and deleted it. And I'll show you again how to do that. So I'm going to insert a picture box here, just so you can see how to do this. And on that particular one, I used 3. So I want this picture to be the exact same size on every single picture. So what I did is I came up here and I clicked copy, and I copied it twice. And then that way I know that I have the exact same picture all the way across. It's the same size. Okay? So that is how you do that. It's very, very simple. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on my uploads. I love this upload area. You can upload pictures to it. I actually have every single one of our Howard College logos uploaded into this so that I have them handy anytime I'm doing anything on Canva. And so it's really easy to just grab our logo, size it to the size I want, because we have to have it on there. It's Howard College policy. We have to have our logo somewhere on every single flyer. So there it is. I have it on there, and I can pick from all of these different pictures. And you can see here the 3 pictures of the students that I have in here. And literally, to upload an image, all you have to do is click on Upload an Image, and it will take you, you can go where you have them, wherever you happen to have pictures. I know I have some in downloads. So say I wanted to put this picture in my Canva, all I would have to do is double click on it and it would actually go right into the Canva. So it's really easy to upload images into Canva. And once they're there, they're there. If you don't want a particular image, like for instance, I'm not ever going to use this particular picture again, so I can delete it. So to delete that picture, I'm going to click on the three dots, and I'm going to delete that picture. And it just goes away, so I don't have it in there. But what's really nice is notice that these pictures aren't exactly the size of these boxes. Well, it doesn't matter because when I drag it, it's automatically going to size the picture for me to fit exactly into that box, which is really nice because I don't have to play with it. I already decided what size box I wanted it to be and all of that, and so it did everything for me, which is why I love Canva, because I can make a flyer in 5 or 10 minutes instead of spending 3 hours on it, and it looks much more cleaner, much more creative, and all of that, and it saved me tons and tons of time. So I just absolutely love Canva for that. So now I'm going to take and go back, and I'm going to show you how we did the speech bubble. So again, I just pulled it on there. You resize it to the size that you want, and if you want 3 of them, you come back up here and just click copy, and you can move them across. And it's just as simple as that. Whenever you want to put text on your pictures, again, you can go in here and you can use any of these different templates that they have in here. And typically I would use something like these down here in this area, but up here in this area, I'm just going to add some body text. So I can click on this body text and it puts the placeholder here. And I will tell you, it's kind of finicky sometimes when you're trying to move it, but you just click on it until the little 4 arrows comes up, and then you just move it wherever you want to. And then you just click inside the box and you take out the placeholder and you type in whatever you can type in whatever you want. And you can also resize it to whatever you want. So you can type in, I just put in here, I would like to see you in my class. And then I resized it a little bit so it would fit in my bubble, and then I just kind of repositioned it. So this is really easy to do. And also one of the reasons, it's just so nice. And then here, I'm going to pick this one. It's free. Now, if you get to the bottom, some of these get to where they're not free. But you can just move that down, and you can delete this stuff out and put, the times of your class or what kind of class it is. You can put that it's a TEAS prep class or, whatever you happen to be advertising for that day. Of course, the stuff you want to focus on more, you're going to put in the middle, and, you can put the dates up here, whatever you want. That's the kind of stuff that you put in right here. Also, too, I'm going to delete this. So to delete this, because I deleted that other one a little fast for you earlier, I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to actually click delete. In order to delete it, you got to have those. Sometimes it's finicky and it doesn't want to do it. Okay, so it's highlighted right there, and then delete. It does not want to delete on me.
Well, Cheryl, the last time you used it, you clicked on it and did the 4 arrows, and then you just moved it off the page and it went away.
Yeah, there we go.
That's another way.
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways, and sometimes it's finicky. It doesn't want, oh, there it goes. All right, so you can just pull it off the page too. But, I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to come up here and click the undo button, and it all comes back the exact way. So you can't really make too big of a mistake because you can undo it and change it as well. So, and you can keep folders on here. Obviously, there's tons of more things that you can do. I will tell you that most of these do cost money. So if you're like me and start getting into that, you're going to want to play with those, and they do cost money. So, but there are many, many things that you can do with Canva completely free of charge. I've actually only paid one time for anything, and it was $1. And I will actually show you which one that was. That was this one right here. It was for a TSI prep course, and specifically our TSI prep course usually has a huge emphasis on math, and I really liked this math that was done in the background of it, and so I actually had to pay $1 for that. But it was a small price to pay. This is one of our Facebook pages here that we posted. This is another Facebook post. So you can see the difference, some of the different flyers that we use. If there's a flyer you don't like and you want to get rid of it, or you're no longer using it, you can click on the 3 dots and you can actually move it to the trash. And I'm going to go ahead and throw that one away. All of these will stay on there, but I will also show you, I'm going to bring this one up. And I want to show you, once you're completely done with the flyer, all you have to do to keep that flyer is click here, and you can download it. Now, if I'm going to put this somewhere or print it, I almost always save the JPEG files, just because I know that, especially for a Facebook post, you want it to be a JPEG. So I usually save it in there. If there's some reason that I want a higher quality or something different, like a PDF, sometimes if I'm emailing it for approval from our college to make sure that our college is okay with what we did, I actually send that in a PDF print. So I'll show you in a minute how I have multiple saved, and it's because I'm saving it in 2 different forms. So this one I'm just going to save as a JPEG, and I'm going to click download. And it comes up and it tells me it's preparing my design for me, and I can click on it down here, and it actually pops up on another screen that you guys can't see, but I'm going to move it over here. So it saves it exactly like this, and you can print it from here, email it, whatever, but it will actually go into your downloads on your computer. So you can go to your computer and go to your downloads, and as you can see in my downloads, I have tons of them, and you can see that I've saved them. See right here, you can see that I've saved this one as a JPEG, and then I've got this one as the PNG file as well. So it just depends. I was printing this out from my color printer, so I wanted a little bit higher resolution on it. So that's how to save these, so that's really easy to do. And so I'm going to take you back up to, I'm going to stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Tiffany Lee said she liked that flyer.
Yes, I used to hate doing flyers. I would cringe every time my boss told me, hey, you need to make some more flyers. I'd be like, great, because it would take me 2 or 3 hours, and then they were boring to me. If they were boring to me and I hate looking at them, guess what? People aren't going to look at them either. And so let me show you the difference I demonstrated. So this is kind of a before and after picture. And these flyers aren't horrible, but notice they kind of look the same. They're nowhere near as creative. And typically they always had sort of the same format. So we've switched, and look at this, how much more appealing these flyers are to look at versus these flyers. And they're so different that they're actually very eye-catching. And I've noticed that our flyers, because, you know, we're on a college campus, everybody's posting flyers, you want your flyers to stick out better than anybody else's. And so now when I walk down the hall and I look over at the flyers that are everywhere, I really notice ours first. And that means that other people are too. And I've noticed that some people are stealing our flyers, which is a good thing, because they're obviously interested in the class. So I just really like these. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, there's a question from Joe Barker. He said, can you do trifold pamphlets with Canva?
I think you can. It's probably one of the things that you have to pay a little bit more for. There's not one in the free area. And I know, Olga, you use it for some of your work with your students, right?
Yes, I actually make infographics, different infographics, also for my presentations. If I have a handout and I want to make a nice handout of it instead of handing out a PowerPoint, I'll make an infographic with Canva, and it always turns out really great, I think, but that's me.
Yeah. I did notice in the chat box somebody was saying you can add pages. You can add pages. You can make 2 or 3 or 4 pages of this. So if you wanted to use this to make your brochure or your pamphlet, you could, and just have 3 pages. It may not be the right size for the type of brochure that you wanted. So that's something that you would have to worry about. We actually went through that, and we used Publisher to do a brochure. I probably will never do that again now that I've gotten used to Canva. I probably would use Canva in the future, even if I had to pay a little bit for it. The Canva that you can pay for, you get unlimited use of it, and it's around $10 a month, and I think if you pay it up front, it's $120 a year. It's a little bit more per month if you pay it monthly. So just to kind of let you know how much it costs, it's not a horribly huge price. And like I said, if there's something that you want and you just want to pay for the use of it one time, you can pay for the use. Before I changed this particular flyer, the pictures that were on the flyer that I got the idea from, it would have cost me $30 to use theirs. Just to kind of give you an idea of how much it costs for a one-time use.
Cheryl, there's a couple of questions and comments, and somebody asked Leslie, she said there are a couple of free templates to create trifold. So yes, Mr. Barker, I believe that you can go in there and create a free with the templates that they have.
Yeah, so those are really great. And if you don't have any ideas, you can get ideas and then make your own. And we've actually really taken a liking to this little heartbeat thing. We've used it on a couple of ours. I think you saw one of our Facebook posts where we added this to the beginning and the end of the letters on the Facebook post. It's really a nice way to do things, and it really changes the way your Facebook looks. And talking about Facebook, when you're trying to market your program and you're using Facebook, you need to put something on Facebook almost every single day in order to keep your numbers up. And then you want to make sure that your staff, when you are posting, that your staff is pretty diligent about sharing those posts, because that keeps your numbers up. And then when you actually post something that is about a class coming up or something like that, that it actually gets a lot of attention. I noticed I posted this, I think it's this exact flyer, not this exact flyer, but it was the post that is about this flyer on Facebook, and I noticed this morning it's had 668 views. So that's what you're wanting to see, is that a lot of people are viewing it, that people are sharing it, clicking like on it, and that sort of thing. They're having interaction with your Facebook. That way, you're actually getting the attention that you want off of it. So,
Cheryl, Tiffany Lee says she looked at Canva for a brochure template, and there are many that are free.
Oh, perfect.
Great.
Perfect. I haven't actually looked for a brochure yet, because, like I said, about a year or so ago, we made brochures, and like I said, that was a very long process, and not something I'm ready to revisit yet again, but we still have some left over from the last time. But definitely the next time I have to do that, I am definitely using Canva for that. Is there any other questions or comments?
So we have about 4 minutes left. And so if you have any questions that you want to ask Cheryl or any comments, please let us know. And Mauro, I think Mauro got off, but he said, thank you, very informative, especially the copyright rules. And Sandra said, great information, thank you. So we have about 3 minutes. Any other questions? Cheryl, is there any other information you wanted to add here?
No, I think that's it. I just, like I said, I think Canva is a great thing. One thing I will say too, the teachers can use this in the classroom, and they can use it for grammar or different things. You just even teaching the students the computer, and then like I would use stuff that the students make and put it on our Facebook. It saves me one less thing I have to do. So that's just another idea too, that teachers can show this to their students. You can make invitations for different events, Halloween events, and this is something that students can use. It's very easy, and they could have a lot of fun with it too. So, and again, they can make some of your posts for you and do some of your work. So just another idea on how to use some of this.
There are templates for worksheets in Canva. So if you look at under education, there are a lot of different templates that you could use as a teacher in your classroom.
Right, and that's awesome. And that's why, like, if you're a teacher, you probably want to put in there when you're signing up, you probably want to put that you're a teacher. Aside from my IET courses that are not year-round, I don't teach in the classroom as much anymore, and so sometimes I forget about that until I'm actually doing it again, and then I think about those things. But yeah, that is a good note to note, is that for teachers, there's extra stuff in there, and lots more that you can do with this.
Okay, we have about 1 minute left. Any other questions, comments? Thank you so much, Cheryl. Great information.
Thank you.
Love the samples, the examples that you provided for us, and I hope that everyone attending goes out there and gets on Canva and gets hooked like Cheryl has and I have. It just makes your life so much easier, and it makes your flyers or anything. Like I said, I make brochures and graphics, infographics. It makes them look so much more professional, and it's simple. So I hope you take advantage of this free use of Canva. It's great. Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, everyone, for being on today.
Thank you, guys.